Yeah, because she was released from
それでは始めさせていただきます。2024年の ACK トークスでは
This year, ACK Talks will hold a program to examine art, society, and our own resilience from a variety of perspectives with the aim of enhancing conference functions and building a community centered on culture and the arts. In addition to the field of art, we have invited experts from various fields such as politics, economics, fashion, architecture, and food to present 9 sessions that cross a variety of fields covering trends in the world art scene, the current state of the market, learning through art, and the connection between people. We are pleased to welcome 4 curators, Mr. Inti Guerrero, Ms. Weiwei Wang, Ms. Tomoko Yabumai, and Mr. Junya Yamamine to present a talk entitled Art Collaboration Kyoto Roundtable, The Future of Commissioned Work, supported by Daimaru Matsuzakaya. So then, Yamamine-san, please take it away. Right, thank you very much for your introduction.
So I'm really delighted to invite the Weiwei and Inti and Tomoko-san discuss about our perspective about the commission works. And so please show my slide. So the title of this talk session is the future of the commissioned works, supported by them commissioned works. And so I try to talk about this context from my career. So the next one is the work in the museum in the over 10 years. Then at the time, including the Tokyo Metropolitan Museum of Photography in the 21st Century Museum of Contemporary Art and Art Tower Mito. At that time, I in charge for the numerous international exhibition, and I research a lot of biennial, and then I become an independent curator. So at the time, I meet with different type of the people, who working in the art market or the art fair or the gallery, and also the many of the collectors. But I feel the curiosity is how difference of the perspective, like. So that's why I try to recognize what is the difference between the market and the art, the curator's perspective. And the eye of the collector's perspective is standing on the love to the artist or to holding the artwork at the private space, and also including the asset formation. But so that is connecting the personal value. Basically, some of the collector has a way more wide eye and more wide perspective in the connected public value. But also basically, that they have such point, and also the curator's perspective. It's connecting updating the art history, and raising the social issue and the challenging about the expression by the artist, and such is connecting the public value. That's why. So in this age, the market is spreading, and including not only Japan, including the worldwide situation. Basel policy is so powerful, and Seoul is very strong in this age. So the spreading the art market is really nice for the art, which can be known in the general society. But on the other hand, the art become one of the community. That's why here is a separation of the perspective, focusing on the market or on the artworks as a public issue. So that's why as a result of that, the artworks which cannot join the art market or the holding by the collectors. So they lose the occasion to be getting the support to creation or to present the works themselves. That's why, so I would like to make a discussion about how can we support such kind of artwork which can be criticized as a social issue. So, and also we want to try to create the new network to supporting the such field, and also exchange the network is also important, I think. That's why so that we want to talk about how can we uh, support it. And so I try to explain about our project with Daimaru Matsuzakaya. Daimaru Matsuzakaya is also a supporter for this program. So I'm working as a consultant for making their cultural strategy. So they have also the 40 years history from the starting of their company. That's why so that they so they're working with society, and they feel the responsibility to the general culture. That's why so the it is Rada project is one of the investigation project to the culture. So from the Daimaru Matsuzakaya, and so the Rada project try to support the creation for the upcoming artists to create the challenging artwork. Yeah. So the one of the vision to create the artwork at the Rada project. So the character of the artist is who has sort of enough experience to show in their own company, but then so does who have to go away from the go outside of their own company, own country. So and also, so if so, they invited from the international museum or international biennial. So sometimes so the organizer don't have enough budget to support the create the new work or to invite the artist to the invite the artist. That's why so the sometimes it is important to so they carry out the only artwork without the artist, but also the moving image or also the installation-based works with a technical writer is so can go out instead of the outside. So such kind of the format can help the making the career of the artist, and also and also the way about the method to select the artist. We organize the selection board members, so that including the Tomoko, yeah, for this occasion. And also the one of the point of our project is also most of the license give to the artist. So that we only require the credit. So we support the three of artists until now. So the last year that we support the sculpt Kariu Ochiai Anna. So she is a half of the Romania and Japanese. And but she spends most of the time in Japan. That's why she has the trip to go to Romania. Then, so that she spends the one year, and so that she's taking the many of the picture in the and also the shooting the culture of the Romania, and so they'll make the try the projection installation, and a very emotional works. And also that we support the creation the new work by Takuro Tamayama. So he created 12 rings, and also so the so here is a very restricted position, and so the relationship between the rings, and so it's also including the sound installation, and So that we are showing the new works by the Shiori Watanabe. She created a brand new performance with no director and other also the researcher. So it's really tough to create a brand new norm, but she is really interested into the how can we realize the shamanistic ways to feel the emotional or the physical, so the experience to and to connect, which can connect it to the myth of the Japanese also nature, the perspective for the nature. Yeah, that's all. So yeah, so that finish my presentation. Okay. So and so that I would like to pass to the Weiwei. So from the Chat Foundation, I really respected about so the Weiwei's project and the program about the Chat Foundation. Please have a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Wang Weiwei. I'm a curator from Center for Heritage, Arts, and Textile. People always call us Chat. I'm from Hong Kong. So first of all, I want to thank Junya Leather Project and ACK for organizing this talk and inviting me to be part of it. As Junya mentioned, actually the art commission is very meaningful and actually quite urgent topic for us to discuss together. And it's also very relevant to our institution and also relevant to my own curatorial practices. First of all, I want to give you some background information about Chat, because maybe many of you haven't visited us. Chat is quite new institution. We opened our doors since March of 2019. Chat is a Hong Kong textile heritage museum, which located at the Muse, which is a former cotton spinning muse of Nanfeng Textile in Tsuen Wan. We don't see ourselves as a traditional textile art museum, but more as an interdisciplinary art center. So we consider textile culture is our culture DNA, but we are more focusing on integrating contemporary art, design, and cultural heritage, and to explore these elements in a holistic and innovative way. So we organize a lot of different kind of programs, exhibitions, public programs, residents, and we invite talents from different art fields to work with us to preserve and reactive the cultural heritage, Hong Kong cultural heritage. And we aim to challenge the traditional interpretation of textile art, to encourage new perspective on textile material and themes. And through different programs, we also want to foster the cohesion and vitality within the local communities. So we are very much focusing, very much pay attention to engaging with the local communities. And in our programs, we have the intention to make the new creations happen. But at the same time, you can see that we have very unique focus and industrial, institutional direction, which drive the needs to work with the artist on commissioned new works. Oh, sorry. Also, when we approach the artist and to commission the new works, we have the goal to not just provide the funding, but to collaborate in researching and creating something new, something with the artist together. And we also try to maintain the relationship as long as possible, because we hope that the commission work could be part of the artist's long-term project, or could be a kind of milestone of this artist's career. So I would like to introduce some projects that we commissioned. So first, I want to start from the Korean artist Park Ji-hee's work. We commissioned in 2000. We commissioned her to create a new work for 2022's exhibition. So she came to Chet in 2021. Well, she has a long-term project which she considers as a collaboration with microorganisms. So she collects the molds from old buildings and cultivate the molds, extract the pigments, and make artworks. So we commissioned her to make a new work. So she decided to make a piece that interacts with Hong Kong textile industrial history. So she collects the molds from different corners of our building because our building is a cultural heritage. And she make the silicone imprints from the old architecture surface and the old machines. And she brought the molds and the silicone imprints back to Korea. And then she cultivate the molds and extract the pigments. And then she mixed the pigment with resin and create this kind of crystal-like installations, sculptures. So the artist herself is a sculptor, but she see these installations, the growth and decomposition process of the molds, like the time capsule, which captured the thread of the time. So that's the way she considered as a deconstruction of the main narrative, and also provide us another way of imagination about Hong Kong's textile history, textile industrial history. And after our project, she continued her research about the textile industry in Asia. So she visited the Gyeongsang Textile in South Korea, which is a very important textile company, played a significant role in modern history in Korea. Because the Gyeongsang Textile was founded by pro-Japan industrialists in colonial period of time. So you can see that textile industry is a very important medium for us to examine the modern history in Asia. Although the context, the social backgrounds are all different, but the artist is trying to navigate the modern history in Asia through non-human angle. So Park Ji-hee's works is that we commissioned in an exhibition. But at the same time, there's another important channel, which is artists in residence in our museum, that we always commissioned artists to do new works. So I would like to introduce Hori An's artwork that we commissioned also in 2021 through the artists in residence. Hori An also considered the textile industrial history in Hong Kong as an inspiration for his work. So he came to Hong Kong and conducted a research about the textile history in Hong Kong and Canton region of mainland China. At the end, he created a 9-screen video installation which explore the interconnected relationship between Hong Kong and mainland China. And the very important thing is the work actually combined the archival material, a lot of interviews with the former textile workers and managers, and also combined the film footage, the historical film footage. So the work is not only about the history, but also reveal the core community surround the textile industrial history. And after our commission, he continued this research in Shanghai about the textile industry in Shanghai. And you can see that the engagement with the community continue in his further project. In Shanghai, he organized a tea gathering and the screening programs and invite those former textile workers to share their stories and have a lot of dialogues with the younger generations. So although these events were not organized or commissioned by Chad, but we are very happy to see this extended long-term video project started from our commission. Last but not least, I also want to introduce Gurna Mukhatanova's project that we commissioned in 2022 and showed in 2023. Gurna Mukhatanova is from Kazakhstan. All of her work are mainly use the felt to create the artworks, but that was her first time visit East Asia. So in Hong Kong, she's very much interested in the traditional Asian patterns, especially about their political symbolism and cultural significance. And she is trying to connect these patterns in contemporary global landscape. So in Hong Kong, she visited those traditional fabric market and also the temples to research about the traditional motif in East Asia. And after collecting the local fabrics, she organized a lot of workshops, work with the general public and also the local artisans to create extensive textile collage that blended motifs from both local and Central Asian textiles. So after returning to Berlin, Gurna created a large felt piece that dialogue with the textile collage she made in Hong Kong. And both of the works were displayed together in Chet's spring exhibition, Explore Textile Culture and Contemporary Art in Central Asia. So you will see the left long piece was the one she used the felt that she often do. And the other piece, the right piece, was the one she created in Hong Kong. And even now, although our commission is finished, but this kind of exploration of Eurasian narratives through traditional patterns has continued in her recent works. So the conditions of every commissioned art projects and artists are very different. So the ways of communications, collaborations are also very different. But the principle for us is to grow together with the artist, which means we want to push them to another level of their creation, to try new material technique, or to experiment something they couldn't do before. But at the same time, it's also very important for us to gain new curatorial practices for our own curatorial team and to engage the communities and sometimes to build up new communities. And as I experienced that in order to achieve those goals, we have to be very open-minded and to embrace the flexibilities. And also important to explore the new networks across different fields so we can share the resources and to enlarge the impact. And that's also the reason I'm here to discuss all of you. Okay, that's the end of my presentation, and I would like to invite all of you to follow us in social media about our future programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We want to answer. I want to discuss with you your project, and please have a presentation.
Yes, thank you so much, and beautiful presentations of fellow colleagues. Also, a big thank you to the organizers and the translators who are hopefully, yes, translating all of our ideas and works. But if you have any questions that may not be clear, maybe after the talk we can gladly speak. So I think we've heard the different context of commissioning from a foundation or from institutions. I'm going to speak specifically on commissioning in a biennale, a festival, a temporary institution. And I recently co-curated the Sydney Biennale, which closed this year in June. And I'll just talk about some of the commissions and some of the process of that works and of those works. And I'll start with 1 minute video just to give you a sense of the biennial, because it's such a big conversation, but just to place it into a context, so maybe we can play it. I think, where is that? You can play the next, yeah, oh, sorry. So the Biennale of Sydney, I co-curated with Cosmin Costinas, who is now in Tokyo in a conference, and we made an exhibition that had more than 115 artists and around 400 pieces, if you count every single drawing in the body of work. But within this monster of an exhibition that takes place in these different institutions in Sydney, we also co-commissioned or commissioned works for the Biennale with artists that most of them had the chance to come. And I think it is definitely makes kind of like a difference when artists do physically come to the space, to a context, and have those conversations. It's another way of the limitations of shipping, which are also financial limitations. There is potentiality of the physical encounter, with an artist. And I'll show you a variety of those new projects that were commissioned. I do think in the context of a biennial that size matters, and it matters in different ways. It matters in terms of visual physicality and the bodily impact of a work, but there's also a way that size can be represented. Size can also be the depth of a work. If a work has a historical, social, cultural depth, it has gravitas, it has an important impact. And I think that we saw that with Hurian, the work has a lot of depth because it's based on interviews, it's based on the history of the site, and that sense of artists looking into the history of a place is what sometimes makes commissions quite interesting. I'll tell you more about those commissions that have to do with history later on, but this is just one example of a number of commissions that the Biennale did together with the Fondation Cartier, which is based in Paris, and they, for the past 10 years, have been really supporting and giving platform and giving financial support to a lot of art coming from indigenous contexts, first from Latin America, but as gradually they've been doing projects in different parts of the world. And Australia, of course, having such a important history of Aboriginal First Nations arts since the 1970s. They wanted to connect even deeper. And the Biennale, since its foundation in the 70s, but more specifically in the 90s, became a huge platform for contemporary indigenous art. This is one example of those commissions that we did. Darryl Sibosado is an artist from the Bart people, from the state of Western Australia, but in the north coastal part of the state. He makes this luminous, radiant neon drawings that are based on the carving of shells that his indigenous group has been doing for thousands of years. He himself carves these motifs and they are expanded into, sorry, how do I go back? Into in light installation, continuing somehow the reflective visual effect that the mother of pearl shell has in the original form. When I mentioned the idea of how historical depth can also manifest the large size of a work in a context of a biennial or a festival, this was a commission that was quite interesting for us, made by Elias Halavi, who is Afghani artist who came to Australia as a refugee, and he made a work based on the so-called Afghan cameleers. In the 19th century, the British had control of a lot of places in Australia, but it was mostly the coastal borders of Australia. They hadn't colonized the interior deserts. And so after many failed expeditions, they decided to bring camels from their other colonies in the Middle East, including, yes, parts of nearby Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Palestine, and they brought them in with the cameleers, the people who knew how to control the animals. If you don't know, Australia is the place where there's more camels in the world because it became a pest after these animals were freed. But the Afghans were brought and they became part of the early history of Islam in Australia, which is something that we wanted to emphasize. There are mosques in the desert of Australia since the 19th century, and a lot of the Islamic history and teachings happened through music because it was Sufi Islam. And so the artist made a work where the instrument that you see here to the left, the rhubarb, which is an Afghan instrument, is placed with the neon signs of the languages of all of the nations where the cameleers came from, because although they were called Afghan cameleers, some were Turkish, some from South Asia, and it really takes a village to make commissions. I think we had to, let's say, support the artists to go to these places which are not in Sydney, where there are descendants of cameleers, because cameleers from this part of South Asia, they intermarried with many Aboriginal women and their families. And in fact, we had many artists that in the end, we got to know that they themselves had relatives who were coming from this Afghan history of Australia. I won't go so much into depth in every single work, but this is an artist that is based in Sydney, and she responded to yet another historical deep work, which is this work that you see here by William Strutt. It's a 19th century painting that represents a bushfire that happened in the 1950s, in the 1850s, which obviously has many readings today with climate change, and is something that in Sarah's new commission is emphasized or is linked to the connection with climate change when one sees this painting. So we physically had as a loan this work from the State Library of Victoria, but also had the commission next to it. This is another Fondation Cartier co-commission, and this is a beautiful collaboration that took place throughout the Pacific. It is made of the works of different women artists who work with bark cloth. As you know, bark cloth throughout the Pacific, from Tonga to Tahiti to Fiji, is the primary art form, the customary art of most of these places. And in many contexts, the tradition of bark cloth art has been almost extinct, like in the case of New Zealand, where the artist Nikau Hindin, who's the first artist who's mentioned there, was the one who we first invited to make this new commission, and she decided to invite all of these other women from Tahiti, from Hawaii, from Fiji, from Tonga, to create different moments of gathering so that they would plant the pigment and create these beautiful bark clothes that are now in the collection of Fondation Cartier. This is Anne Samad. I won't go into detail, but this is, let's say, the physicality again that I was saying that it was important. But there are ways to visually have, let's say, architectural impact, but at the same time, shipping-wise, to be proactively creative, no? Because all of this huge installation actually is transformed. It's joined together and can be shipped in, in very small boxes, which all of these practicalities do come into effect and are important, especially when you're doing festivals or biennials or projects in distances like Australia. No? This is other commissions. This is just gives you an idea of what the biennial had. Another commission with the Fondation Cartier. This is an architect in this case, Bolivian indigenous architect who since the early 2000s has made indigenous futurist architecture using the Aymara and Inca geometry in his facades, and he creates physical, real housing since the early 2000s. And the idea of commissioning can also vary in size, as I mentioned. This artist is the printmaking master since the 1980s. He has been making the silkscreen textiles of the carnival in Bahia in Brazil. What you're seeing is basically a small retrospective of all of the prints that he has done since the 80s to the present, and we commissioned him a new one, which was first launched in the carnival of this year, and then it was presented in the Biennale. Maybe just towards the end, this is another story related to the depth that we were speaking about, on how size does matter, but it also matters in relation to how deep an artist can go into the obscure stories or histories that are not in the official history books. In the case of what you're seeing is the story of Malcolm Cole, who was an Aboriginal dancer who was very important for the dance history of Aboriginal conceptual experimental dance in Australia, but he was also an icon in the gay community because in 1988, which was the bicentennial of the British invasion to Australia, he, in the gay pride of that year, decided to dress up as Captain Cook. Captain Cook is the invader or the admiral, the British admiral, who led the invasion of Australia. And this location of power was a huge event in Australian society at the time, but completely obscured or forgotten, let's say. And so many commissions in around the world bring like forgotten histories. Like artists are really good at doing the archaeology of that. And Dylan Mooney, who is an artist, painter, muralist, made this painting to commemorate, to kind of create a homage to this dancer who passed away during the HIV epidemic in the 1990s, and who is being monumentalized in this commission that we did. And this gives you a better sense of it, and it was kind of like a shrine to him, yeah. I won't go into detail because of time, but just some impressions of other commissions of other nature that had different contexts and different materialities and different ways of encountering the biennial through this very dense histories, but also through humor. There were many ways of bringing audiences' attention to the many thematics of the show. Yeah, and I think that's it for now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and so we understand how diverse in at the Sydney Biennial. So let's talk after the talk in the discussion. So please have a talk in the Tomoko.
I'm sorry, I made my speech in Japanese. Sorry.
All right, so I'm going to speak in Japanese. Allow me to. So I am.
Presentation.
So unlike the two of you, I am a house curator, and then also I'm a curator for a Biennale. I used to be a curator for a Biennale as well. So I have had an opportunity to think about commissioned work. So here, what you are seeing on the screen is this is what we were doing at the Tokyo Contemporary Art Museum, and this is for Takahashi Ryotaro Collection. I think it's the world's largest collector's exhibit. So Takahashi knows the history of the Japanese contemporary art, if you look at this. So with Takahashi Collection, those people who have seen this exhibit, Takahashi-san is a personal collector. He's an individual. And so it's like a twin relationship with Tokyo Contemporary Art Museum. And you can see the economical downtrend of Japan from 1990. We keep going down, and then the museums didn't have enough money to fund those purchases. So the individuals will step in and make a purchase instead to collect all those world famous artists' work. So although this is an individual's collection, most of these artwork are way beyond the level of what one individual can purchase. So when I got this I got this presentation from Junya. You said there is this like a comparison between public and private, but here that rule doesn't really apply. You can see how the private sector can have lots of power as well. And back in 2011, we had the Great East Earthquake in the northern region of Japan. But after that earthquake, we had to rebuild the region. So there were many art projects around the damaged area. So there was this art pieces that were made during that era, and then Takahashi has a lot of those artwork in his collection. So, for example, in the foreground, you can see there's this large monument. This is from Motohiko Odani. It's called a Surf Angel, and this is a temporary installation monument. And this was exhibited in Ishinomaki, where it was affected by the tsunami. And it was created in a collection there, but it didn't have a place to go. So Takahashi collected that and gave it a place. And also, if you look at this side core piece, this is also from the Ishinomaki project where, hold on, this one. This is also from Ishinomaki where it was affected by the tsunami. It's called side core, and it was revealed and exhibited at the Ishinomaki. And they were using some of these electric signs. You know, there was a company that was creating these neon signs, and how should I call it? So, in this, they were using all these electric light signs and created a chandelier out of it. And you can connect through Wi-Fi, and they are all synchronized through online. So they can they will be synchronized between the museum in Tokyo and in Ishinomaki City. So there are some skaters who will be they're originally from the Okinawa, southern poor island, and then they would come to Tokyo to earn money. So there's this connection between revitalizing their own poor village, and then there's also connection with the Ishinomaki village that's trying to come back from the earthquake damage. So it was depicting how people can connect together about revitalizing their villages through these technologies. And so this art piece was about to be lost, but Takahashi Collection was able to support this, and they were able to support this art piece. So there are many other commissioned works here, but this piece here, this is, I think this is a very unique Japanese case of a commissioned work. Originally, do you know Gundam, that robot animation? From the 1970s and 80s. And so it's a big robot in the space. And then in Japan, we have many of those animation type of exhibits. And recently we have Doraemon, that round blue robot figure that's cuter. And we have a lot of those animation subculture, right? And then we have that fusion between contemporary art. And in that way, we're trying to increase the number of the fans for contemporary art. So we have many of those things as a trend. And then this was one of the early trials. So this is using Gundam as its motif. So this is 4 meter tall. It's very large. And Takahashi Collection was able to collect this because otherwise it was going to be discarded. Now, this is the last piece that I wanted to introduce. This is also another commissioned work, and it has an interesting background. So this is created by Takashi Nemoto. He is a cartoonist or animation creator. So he had this very large cult followers or avid fans. And one day he thought he should create a piece that's as big as Picasso's Guernica. And then, so he had this God's call saying, you must make something as big as Picasso's Guernica. So he received some input from the artists who can make large pieces. He's only a cartoonist, so this is not a pure commissioned work. It was for Takashi. This was, he had this pure intent. He had this God's calling, say you have to make it. But it didn't have anywhere to go. And there's a book about this as well. But in the end, Takahashi came in to save this piece so that it wasn't going to be discarded. So Takahashi Ryutaro is an avid art collector, but also he has this he has this intent to contribute to the public. So I hope if we have more of these collectors who have this public viewpoint, who want to contribute to the society, then I think we can support more of these artists who, but it's not always that easy. And as a curator, I wanted to give you one of the examples of the project that I was involved in. And this art piece here, this is also one of the pieces that was saved by the Takahashi collection. So my interest as a curator is I am interested in literature, music, fashion, and I'm not confined only to contemporary art. I also I'm looking at artists who combine those adjacent industries, and that's something only contemporary art can do as a fusion between similar industries. So I was hoping that as a curator I could bring those people, how should I say this? I tried to invite them to be in this exhibit. So this is done by Gozo Yoshimasu. He is a poet, and after the Great East Earthquake in 2011, he was working on performance art a lot. So he was doing he is a pioneer in reading poems in public, and then he also you have to write the poem with your hands, and then this is almost like a drawing. So he's doing this very elusive or sort of abstract type of artwork. So he teamed up with the sound engineers, and I have been able to introduce his works, which is like the team Gozo Yoshimasu. And then this is made by his artistic team called Komakus. So Gozo Yoshimasu will read his poem, and it is going to be exhibited as a sound art. So with this piece, this was only supposed to be a temporary piece only for the exhibit, but Takahashi was able to purchase this and save this from being discarded. And this is from the Sapporo International Art Festival. We did Gozo Yoshimatsu's exhibit again. And this, again, was supposed to be only temporary project. And then again, here, this is another piece from Sapporo International Art Festival. And I am involved in this. So the artist is called EYE. and he is the frontman of a music band called Bottoms, and he has a large impact in the music scene. And he has impacted the 1990s music scene in Japan a lot. So we wanted to capture his art activities that's really difficult to capture. So this is how we tried to put it into more tangible things. So we created a few pieces together with but this is made by photoluminescent paint. So if you enter the room, you can't see anything. It's pitch black, but after you're there for a while, then your eyes get used to it, and then you can start to see this very faint green color.
ということで、この瞬間にしか存在しない。
This was only a temporary installation in this room, and then also depending on how long the person is staying in this room, it really makes a difference in what you can see. Because in a biennale, most people just jump into the room and then jump out, and most people say it was just a black room, I didn't see anything. So I think that's a really interesting thing, an interesting experience that was dependent on the time you stay there. So it was a really site-specific art. And so these are all temporary artwork. And what I wanted to introduce to you was at the Tokyo Contemporary Art Museum's curator, we created a commissioned work. And this is a completely different, whatchamacallit, a completely different direction. So, Wei, you were mentioning how you could co-create a milestone type of a work together with the artist, but this commission work this was made for us. We asked this Akio Suzuki, this artist, to create this, and he's a sound artist pioneer in Japan. And Tokyo Contemporary Art Museum, when we were renewing our building. So this is the building's floor plan, but so in our building, we are located next to a public park, and then we renovated our building in 2019, and we wanted to become a building that's open to the city or to the community. So that was our new mission of our building. So, we didn't make it a special place for special people to come here on a special exhibit. We wanted it to be democratized for the people around. So we wanted to utilize some of the spaces that were not utilized more, and we wanted people to just walk around the entire building so that they can just look at all corners of the building. And that's why we did the commissioned work. So as you can see, you have this this symbol of the ears. So that's a parody to the Duchamp's decoration or design. But that's like a ear and the feet together, as you can see. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I'm going forward. I want to go back. Hold on, please. I'm sorry. There you go. So let's see. I'm sorry, I gotta go forward. There you go. So here you can see on this concrete plate, you have this sign of the marks of the feet and which also looks like an ear. So if the person stands here and listens, then you can hear the surrounding ambient sound and you can almost feel like it's a music. So the spectators or people are always going to be part of the artwork. And this commission work is, it's the simplest form of artwork, but it's also weatherproof, and it's going to be here permanently. And then also, it's providing the same experience year-round. So with all those requirements, I thought this was the best optimum solution that meets all of my requirements. So here we have this another audio or sound art piece. See, you have all these dots or the holes in the wall, and you can hear different sounds from here. So again, this is Akio Suzuki, the artist, and he is looking at the wall and listening to sounds as you step on that plate that has the symbol. So the commissioned artwork, it has to have permanent performance, and then it also has to be sustainable, thinking about who is going to be owning this for a long time.
これから
And
あ
and the other day, in our museum, we had a little talk session with this artist, Tomoko Konoike. And we were talking about this theme, saying, the artists have to think about the environmental issues and how creating artwork is going to be like violence against the environment. It's attacking the environment. So this piece in the middle is called Kawa Doncho, or drop curtain of cowhide. It's such a large piece, but it's also portable because you can wrap it up, wrap it up and make it small. And so when you think about the museums to continue to hold on to the piece, she was saying with her solution, it's easier for the museum to store the artwork because it's so space saving. And last but not least, I would like to touch on Tomoko Konoike's work on how she can think about the environment. This is called a medicine infrastructure. And this was done at Aomori, which is at the northern end of the main island in Japan. And she was having her individual art exhibit there. And she would place some of her artwork that's in her warehouse and put it in in different locations just before she would get to the museum. So there's a station, and then on the way, you can see in the store, she also added some of her artwork inside the store's shelves.
大阪万博がもうすぐ
So we have the Osaka Expo coming up very soon, next year, and then she is going to be exhibiting there as well. So she is lending out her artwork that's in the warehouse to a lot of different places. So she is diversifying the exhibit space to local stores and hospitals. So she is talking about how, or she is trying to address the social issue of how to store artwork and preserve them for the future. So, yeah, that ends my presentation. Thank you. All right, so I guess I will continue to speak in Japanese from here. I'm sorry. So let's go into the discussion among us curators. So, Yabumaya-san, you were talking about how the Takahashi collection was, there was a time where Japanese museums didn't have enough time or money to buy things, and then Takahashi was doing that on behalf of the museums, and as a result, that was a great or very important initiative to preserve the Japanese contemporary art from the beginning. And Inti, you were mentioning in your presentation about the Cartier Foundation and other organizations who were supporting the commission work. So, and Weiwei, you were also saying in your institute, at chat, you were talking about how art pieces were connected to the local history of textile industry. So, so there's private foundations, and there are Daimaru Matsuzakaya as well, the department store helping us. But I think the society is helping us out as a foundation, and then being a part of the art industry is about going back and forth between the public sector and the private companies. I think you have to go between both, and you have to share the culture, share the knowledge between those, right? So, the this is going to lead to my first question. I think the private and public have to intertwine and communicate together so that we can think about how we should create the new generation, new era. And I think it's important to have that communication between the two. So, and from here, I wanted to talk about commission work. When you think about the artistic production process, what kind of experience do you go through? What kind of culture do you become exposed to? You have to express that all in the commission work. I think that's important. And also with the Sydney Biennale, there are many different culture. You can see that how all different cultures are coming together in the Biennale. That's all the indigenous culture, as well as it could be the family history of the settlers and the people who came in. So you have to think about how you are going to own those art pieces at the museum, and then how you are going to communicate that to the next generation. I'm sure there are a lot of talks behind that, but from Yabumaya-san, Tomoko, your point of view, when you see Wei Wei and Inti's work or all their efforts, how do you feel? And what kind of inspirations did you get from these two people? Right. Let's see. I have a question to Wei Wei.
I have a question to you.
So,
The artwork is basically there is an understanding that the commission work by the public institution, the artists were prohibited to hold it because it is from the public cost. So, how about your institution? Your public institution, so the ownership belongs to the artist, or?
Yes, all the commissioned piece, the copyright will belong to the artist. So because we for every exhibition, there are always several pieces that is commissioned. So first of all the copyright belong to them, but for some artworks, which is directly respond to Hong Kong textile industrial history or Hong Kong community, for those works, we will discuss with the artist to collect these pieces into our collection. Some artists will be very generous to donate the piece to us, and some artworks, actually, we add some more money to purchase. Yeah. But the principle is the artwork belong to the artist, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So how about you?
Maybe this is not related to the Sydney Biennale, but I worked for 5 years at Tate Modern as an adjunct curator for acquisitions of Latin American art. And the Tate is also a public institution. So there are different committees. There are regional committees. So there's also the Asia Pacific Committee that some of the members are here actually visiting the fair. And all of these committees are external platforms that they buy the work, and officially they give a permanent loan to the museum. So that's how, let's say, there are ways in which it is bought within the context of Tate, but officially it's not the museum who buys it, but it's the committee who buys it externally and lends it for perpetuity to the museum. Yeah. So it's an interesting model to think about.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. So 日本の大きな
right. So the biggest issue, one of the bigger issues with Japan is when a public institute purchase or commissions this work, then because the money is coming for the project, and the artist cannot own that because it's taxpayers' money, and we don't want the workers or the artists to benefit from the taxpayers' money. So the artists will negotiate with us in a many different ways, but basically that's the big issue of Japan, where all commissioned work that are made for certain projects, they have to be destroyed, discarded. So, like Inti was just saying, if an external platform can purchase it and then, be the middleman to mediate the system, I think that's what's needed for Japan.
まさにおっしゃる
Yes,
と
I agree. So, I, was working at the museums when I was working with art fairs. Then I'd have to commission some work, but there were so many limitations and conditions. Maybe this is only for Japan. Maybe it's also in some other countries. But in Japan, public sector has a strong saying in these matters. But because we are using tax, there are a lot of regulations, and they are very confusing. But because public has very strong power, we don't have too many of those third-party mediating parties, like Inti was mentioning. And from your experiences, can you talk a little bit about the projects and the third parties and how you could work together with the artists? Can you tell me what balance worked out the best among all different related parties? Do you have any case examples of the optimum balance among those different stakeholders?
I mentioned before that it takes a village to do commission work, and depending on each project, it varies. So in some of the slides that I showed, some of you might have seen that there are many people that are accredited depending on each project. There's still the based on nationality kind of support that is still in a way fundamental, or artists that are based in certain places, but that's also very limiting, because then, of course, traditionally there are many international art foundations in Europe, but that creates a bit of a monopoly of artistic languages that are internationalized. Just because an artist is based in the Netherlands and you can get support from the Mondrian Foundation, or an artist based in Berlin, etc. So we actually, try to not follow all of this kind of industry, but in some cases you're glad that they exist. So there are many ways of like adding up basically the financial support of it. So some of foundations can support the traveling, others can support the shipping, and that's how like it really takes a village. But in the case of the Fundación Cartier, it was like a privileged situation because they had a specific, let's say, like financial injection to the budget of the biennial. And this was a process that we were, as curators, not, yes, involved, but it was really the work of Barbara Moore, who is the CEO. And there has to be like a very key role of a CEO that is in these negotiations, which are institutional. They're not, let's say, content is needed, and we went to Paris many times to do like presentations, but it really is about a process that is not only curatorial in a way. Yeah.
How about Wei?
I think so far in our institution, most of the works were commissioned by Chet only. But from my point of view as a curator, I think the key point for the commission piece is to try to find chances for the artworks to be seen as much as possible. Because most of the time, after the commission piece finished or exhibited in the institution, and then either the work belonged to the artist or it belonged to the, just enter the collection, then there's no that much chance for this piece to be seen again. Because the piece was commissioned under a very specific theme. And then it's sometimes not that easy for other exhibition to include that artwork. So for us, the biggest challenge or mission in the future is to find the co-commission with other institutions. So we have the similar kind of concern or research which we can co-commission this artist to create the work and to find other more promising chance for this piece to be shown. So we are actually working on this approach. So we are actually working with Shaja Bainu to co-commission one piece. That piece was also about the traditional textile culture in Indonesia. So this piece will be shown in Shaja Bainu next February, and then actually the artists create series of pieces. So part of that will be shown in Shaja Bainu. Another part will be shown in our exhibition next March, so which means more audiences will have the chance to visit these works. So these co-commission project are something that we are really seeking for.
Yeah, this is a very important topic. So the commission work is too specific. That's why it's really difficult to find out the next occasion to show the work. So yeah, that's the problem. But that's why I would like to talk about this topic on this occasion. Yeah. So, but I realized that one of the foundation in US, like the Video Umbrella or Art Angel, so that they are production so they support the production of the new art pieces, so that by the artist. So especially most of the box is a video or the project base, but sometimes such kind of the art pieces spread the art so circulation. So we are talking about how can we support, but at the same time, how can we produce the artworks with many type of the stakeholders. So the Tomoko-san says, Mr. Takahashi collected the artworks after the exhibition, which is really also the important way to support such kind of the commission platform. But and also some of Cartier Foundation is spread the world, and so they have a responsibility to find out the new aesthetics through the art. That's why it's not only the regional position, but most of the foundation came from the connected on the regionality or nationality. So, but the age is changing to the more cultural diverse and also the transnational age. At the same time, we rediscover their own culture, so their own regionality to spread the world. So that's why think about Venice Biennial. He is a national pavilion. But we are always thinking about the nationality during this 100 years. But we escaped from the identity from the nationality. So the nationality and the regionality is similar but quite different. And we need to more learn about the historical connections, but not only the division of the nationality. So that's why it's quite interesting to know more about the roots about each region or each people, and how can we combine? How can we find out the possibility to do the connection from their own culture, like music or the textile, and so that we can find out the similarity of each culture, and so that we can start the conversation from this perspective. Yeah, that's why third party or the foundation should be more international or the transnational. And so the public is quite difficult because the standing on the nationality or the province or the city government. But the kind of the foundation of the third party have a potential. And also, the important thing is the network between the curators to find out the next occasion. So I know your project. So that I can consider how can we make the new occasion from your project. So that kind of the step is quite interesting. So that's why one of the most important things that we know each other, and so share what's going on the picture project.
Well, I think I'm not. Please correct me if my interpretation is wrong. So I think you mentioned a quite interesting topic that how, because normally the artworks are commissioned by curators or art professionals. So since you're also talking about the co-commission, so in order to achieve the co-commission, we have to find a common interest or common research topic that is probably transnational or interdisciplinary. So for instance, like our projects about the textile industry, as I said, textile industry is an important medium to examine the modern history in Asia. So for instance, we commissioned the piece with the mold, extract the pigments, the installation. Although for our museums, that work is more about the Hong Kong textile industrial. But if some other curators in other Japanese museums or Korean museums that want to explore the Asian, to discuss about the colonial history in Asia, actually that piece could be one of the artwork. So, all these pieces belong to Chet collection. So you are very welcome to loan this piece. I will be very happy to loan this piece to your future exhibition.
Yeah, I think the textile is a really important topics because most of the region have a textile culture, and also after the modernization, the Asian culture developed by the textile to provide the textile to the Western culture, Western society. And so now is also the Japanese artist Satoru Aoyama is talking with Jack Kai, who is a Thai artist. Both is based in the textile, and such kind of the international exchange is quite interesting. So maybe we have only 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So the time is so fast.
So should we ask for some questions from the audience? Anybody has a question? Please raise your hand.
これは
Probably not. No questions? All right, going once. Sometimes I ask, I say, please, everybody raise your hand, and then I say, if you don't have a question, please do not raise your hand. I think that's a really funny thing. Sometimes people just keep their hands up. So, all right, looking at the clock, I guess, so... Oh, do we have a question?
なんか、
All right. So
話をし
so
して、
can I go into like an actual case example? Um, so let's think about a strategy of what we can do in the next 5 minutes. Okay. So what I noticed through today's discussion is Ryutaro Takahashi is supporting the Japanese contemporary art scene. I was thinking Takahashi-san is great, but I guess it also means that Japan doesn't have the third-party support, which is a sad thing. So we only have the museums or personal collectors. That's why we need this intermediate institution. You know, in Japan, we just don't have the absolute number of them. So I think Chat's initiative is really interesting. There aren't many institutions that are specializing in commissioned work, and in Japan, everything is museum driven, museum led. So there are many companies that make museums, but there aren't many organizations that are supporting the production process. So I think I really envy the other countries like Hong Kong that have those institutes. Right. So, Inti, you have been working at the Sydney Biennale, and you were able to gain all these commissioned work from different organizations, such as foundations. And in the museum, in the end, you can collect, but with the Biennale, you cannot keep those work. So you have to make sure you capture those place stakeholders, right?
Make a matching of the institution
Artworks.
during the process of the making the artwork.
I'll be very short, but yes, I think it varies from case to case, and they're also bringing other professionals and curators during the opening of such festivals is important because there's exposure to those works, and one very specific outcome of the work of the Afghan-Australian artist Elias Alavi, who did these beautiful instruments connected to the history of the Afghan cameleers, because many of those cameleers in the 19th century came from Pakistan. By chance, the curator of the Lahore Biennale was at the opening. Well, not by chance, we invited him to come. And he was fascinated about the work, and we actually connected before the opening, the curator with this artist, and told him, there's this artist that is working with this incredible history that connects Pakistan with Australia. Maybe you're interested. And then that created an immediate life for this work. It's now being shown at the Lahore Biennial. And it really, yeah, it's from case to case. Obviously, museums have their own very slow process of acquisitions. So even though many of the works that I showed you actually were shown in collecting institutions in Australia, it wasn't so fast the idea of them collecting the work, even though some of them ended up collecting the work, but museums have to have their committees see the work. Some of them want to see the work physically, so with a commission, you don't know how the work is going to look. So it really varies from point to point. And even with the Cartier Foundation, they supported the work, but that doesn't mean that they would like to collect it. So they also had to wait until the work was done. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting that such kind of matching or decision of the partner is a kind of the process of curation, not the kind of the management. I think so.
Yeah, and there's also support of the idea of how a research can be supported. So the Jameel Art Center in Dubai, they were actually interested in supporting the research, and which is obviously a luxury to imagine, but they specifically have budgeted throughout the year to support biennials if biennials come to them. Yeah, but they themselves are an institution that has their own program, but budget-wise, they keep certain part for these possibilities. Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. So I remember one of the things I was surprised. So the Australian museum is very quick to pay when they decide to collect. Normally in Japanese institutions spend 1 year. That's just very slow. Sometimes we lose occasion to buy the important works by such kind of the economical region. But yeah. And also that is really the important things. How can we manage the production and also how to support the research, the production management, and the show and the spreading. Always connected, but it is very difficult to support the whole of things by one of the foundation or one of the institution. That's why and I had the experience through this show. With Shiori Watanabe, she created a brand new no performance. But she spread out the three types of the works from the one of the no performance. One is a single channel video, another one is an installation-based work in the Shiseido Gallery. So please see the work when you go to the Tokyo. And so now she has a presentation also in Shinjuku, is an alternative space run by the Chimpon, is a Japanese art collective. So that is quite interesting. The artist product, artistic study that connected the different people, the different places, and yeah, that's why. I think that we have a potential to start a co-commission if we could discuss before the project. Yeah. Maybe time is gone. Yeah.
はい、それでは改めまして皆様ありがとうございました。ACK トークスなんですが、本日こちらで終了となりますが、明日も引き続き予定されておりますので、皆様どうぞお楽しみください。でこちらのトークが、配信とアーカイブがされる予定となっておりますので、そちらも合わせてご覧ください。では改めまして登壇者の皆様ありがとうございました。